is Sarah, and this is episode 4 of Sarah's Creative Corner, and I'm coming to you on February 22nd in the evening, and it's been raining the past couple of hours, so it's a little cool and dreary, and just here to chat about what I have been up to over the past week. So I guess the first thing I can talk about is what I am wearing. I'm wearing 2 knits in a row this podcast, and I am wearing the Semper Slipover by Sophie from the Knit Purl Girl. It was actually my first test knit that I'd ever done, and you can just look at it, and it actually has some like pastel speckles in it, and I knit it up in Buches Petite Lambswool, I believe, in their Bonbon colorway, and I held it together with just a white Tynn silk mohair from Santa's Garn. I don't remember the color, it was just like the white one, and it was actually a really nice test knit, and I think I knit like size G or H, and kind of like with last week's knit, the mohair is pretty itchy for me, so I have to wear something under it, but it's a vest. It's kind of what it's meant to do. The only thing that I'm not really happy about is just how tightly I bound off the collar. When I put it on, I'm like stretching it over my head, which is never ideal, but I don't really care to fix it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like it's choking me. It's just a little difficult to put on. And this was actually the first thing that has ever won a ribbon. I submitted this to Maryland Sheep and Wool, I think last year, and I got 3rd place in their vests and sweater vest category, and that was really cool. Especially because I had only been knitting for about a year, so to place at Maryland Sheep and Wool was really awesome. And planning on submitting more things this year, and I submit to the local county fair, and yeah, excited to see what I end up casting on for the Maryland Sheep and Wool and for the fair, and if I do place. So we'll see in May and August what that'll look like. So the first thing we can get into is all my WIPs. I don't have any finished objects this week. I just am chugging along on all the things. So I guess we can talk about the one that's been on my needles the longest, and that is my Purl Soho half and half triangles wrap. That's this guy, and as you can see, I made some pretty decent progress this week. I'd say that's like about 3 or 4 inches, and now the rows are getting longer instead of getting shorter like the pink side, and even though that's the case, it's only getting longer by 1 stitch each time, so it's not like it's been too much of a slog. And I guess just some details on it is that I'm using the linen quill from Purl Soho in Rhubarb Pink and Pale Mushroom, and I'm doing the larger of the 2 sizes, and that's really it about from their end. I did do 2 modifications. I did an I-cord edge, which has turned out really nice, and I also did German short rows instead of a wrap and turn, which I like because also the knitting stays horizontal, because I think with the wrap and turn it becomes perpendicular with one another. So I like that it's cohesive all the way across, and I do like just how the German short rows actually ended up looking too. So I would say I am about 50% of the way done with the pale mushroom, so that means I'm about 3/4 of the way done with this entire thing. So hopefully I can get it done before summertime, but it's fingering weight. It's like a shawl. It wouldn't be that awful if I were knitting on this in the warmer weather. So before I forget, I will go ahead and move my stitch marker, my progress keeper, and there we go. And this is just a little sheep progress keeper. I think I got it from Magpie Fibers, but I've seen it at other stores like on Etsy and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the first one. Nothing crazy to say on that one. Just been making some pretty good progress on this one, I'd say. All right, and the next one is, I would say, the closest to being done, and that is my vanilla socks in KnittinBro's Wild Thing. And I'm just knitting a plain vanilla sock on US, I always forget, US 1.5, if I can find it. Yes, US 1.5, 2.5 millimeter needles, and I'm doing it on a magic loop, and 64 stitches with a 2x2 rib and the old Norwegian cast on / German twisted cast on. It has a really nice stretch to it. And this week I finished the heel, and I finished the gusset and the heel flap and all that, and I got pretty far on the foot. And let me measure. I think I have just about 2 inches left before I need to start the toe, so we are getting there. Yeah, I normally will stretch it just a little bit, so I need it right down here. So I got about 2 inches. So if I get some knitting time this weekend, I should be able to finish it this weekend, because the toe takes also such a short amount of time. And yeah, hopefully, I know I said this might be a finished object this week, but I didn't make any promises. But next week, let's hope for this one. And then let me move my marker so I don't forget. And I'm just using a little blue flower, and I think I got that one from 3 by the Sea Designs, if I remember correctly. So that is work in progress number 2. And then since I finished my other test last week, I started my Chloe sweater test this week, and I have an okay amount of progress, I guess. Since it's bottom up, you do the ribbing first, and then you do the body, split for sleeves, do all that. And I finished one of the bottom hems. I think this one is going to be the back hem, and that's that. I am using Nutiden, or Owner Arc Airs Nutiden yarn in the Tålmodig colorway. It's like a rusty red. I think that's pretty accurate to what it looks like in real life. And I am doing a split hem. It has a whole bunch of different modification options, kind of like a map, and I've never seen that in a pattern before, so that's been really nice to see. So it's like just normal ribbing, a split hem, and then you get into the body, and then once you get to the top, you can either do a crew neck or you can do a V-neck. So it's like a little map. And yeah, I'm doing this one with the split hem, and I finished one of the hems, and the pattern calls for 10 centimeters, but it looked a little short for me. So I decided to extend it a little bit to 15. And I did finish both of them, but when I realized that I wanted to extend the hem a little bit, I went back to the front hem, and that's this one, and I have just a few more centimeters left. I think I have like 2. So I should be able to finish this if I work on it tonight, and then be able to join for the body, and that'll just be stocking it in the round. Nothing crazy, but it's been really cozy. I've had to be really careful knitting with it, because it's recommended that you wind it up into balls like I showed you last week, and that's what I did. And I find that if I work on it on our hardwood floor and just kind of let the ball roll around, it doesn't cause any tension for the yarn to break. But if I'm doing it, like if I have it in a knitting bag or on carpet, it will kind of get stuck, and I can accidentally pull apart the yarn, which can be frustrating because, you know, you're kind of moving and grooving and then your yarn's broken and you have to stop and you have to felt it back together. But it's pretty easy. I have noticed some thinner spots in the yarn, and before I get there, I will actually just break the yarn and felt it. And I've noticed some stitches are kind of small, and I did go back a few times on the front and the back hem when I noticed that some of them are like really thin. I frogged back to that stitch, and since this is like a rustic non-superwash wool, the stitches don't run away, which is really nice. And I just frog back to maybe like 5 or 6 stitches before that thin stitch. I'll rip the yarn, felt it back together, and just keep on going. So I'm really excited to get into the stockinette. I've wound up into balls the first cake, or the first plate, so I should be able to get a few centimeters, a couple inches into the body before I have to wind up another one. So that'll be nice, and hopefully I'll be able to make some good progress next week, or over the next week, to finish this up, or at least get started. It's in a Slack, or the test like chat is in the Slack, and some people have already finished, which I think is crazy since I've basically only just started. It makes me feel a little slow with my knitting, but that's okay. I still have a few weeks to go before it's due, and yeah, that's really it on that one. So next week we will see a joined body, which will be really nice. And speaking of tests, since I finished my Uptown pullover, I just wanted to let you guys know that the Uptown pullover pattern will be available on Saturday the 24th, which should be the day that this podcast comes out. And yeah, I hope you guys will knit it, and I will put my project page on from Ravelry down below, and you can see what modifications I made outside of what I talked about. But I guess just to reiterate, I just knit my body 1 inch or half an inch longer than suggested, and then I knit my sleeves just a little bit shorter, and that was really it. It blocked out really nice. I blocked it over the weekend, moving on my ends. I just need to put like a little tag in the back so I can remember front from back, because sometimes I have a hard time with that. And I have some Shelly Can ones that I sew into my knitting, and I wore it yesterday at work actually, and it was really nice. I wore it next to skin, and there were just like a couple prickly spots, but overall it was really nice. and it is a non-superwash yarn, so that was good to know that I am okay with that, especially since like this yarn is non-superwash and it's been a little prickly, but I think that might be more so because of the mohair, not necessarily because of the actual like wool that's in it. So that's it of the WIPs that I've been actively working on. I do have 2 acquisitions that I can share with you, and the first one is Woolberry Fiber Co. I am a part of her collective, so every month she puts out like a variegated tonal and then a speckle, and she also does like a rewind. So this one is the, I believe this is the January colorway, and it is called Button Jar, and this is what it looks like. It's like a light blue, and there are some speckles on it. Let me take off the ball band so you can see it in its glory. So that's what it looks like. Kind of reminds me of like blueberry pie or something, especially with some of like the purpley speckles and just like the blue base. So I got 4 skeins of this on their berry surrey base, and that is 65% surrey, 35% silk, and it's 50 grams, and it's 437 yards, and it's really soft. I have a few skeins of her berry surrey that I haven't knit up yet. I've been a part of her collective for a few months now, so I have quite the collection, and I really need to get on knitting with them. Just like I have the Cargill sweater on the needles, and I believe that was one of the rewind colorways in Camp Woolberry. So I at least have 1 project on the needles, and I guess 2, because I also have the Sophie shawl, which I haven't touched since a few weeks ago. So that's where we are with that. And then the second acquisition I got from a D-stash, and I don't know if you heard the crinkling, and I don't know if you know what that means, but that it means I have some more Nutiden. I got this from a D-stash, and like I told you last week, I like to keep them in their little packages, but I got 2 300-gram like bags. So I have 600 grams of barley juice, I think, and it is a blue. And once I saw it, because on our Ock Air we'll sometimes repost stories if other people are doing D-stashes and stuff like that, and I saw it and I couldn't resist, and it actually came all the way from France, and it came on Tuesday, because Monday was a holiday here, so it came on Tuesday, and she shipped it out last Thursday. So the fact that it came all the way from France so quickly was very amazing. But that is my second acquisition, and that's actually my last acquisition. So today is a short episode. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And otherwise, I will chat with you next time. Bye.